Mr. Grant Elwood from the Peabody Hotel. He's an interesting guy. I think you're going to pick up a different perspective on hotel operations. Let's see, what else? We got a new, fancy new year tuition. Your money is being well spent. We've got a fancy new camera. Any questions for me?
Go Patriots.
Go Patriots. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that. You have a professor by the name of Itzhak, Dr. Itzhak.
Why not?
Does anyone in here know Dr. Itzhak from across the street, religious studies?
No.
Oh wait, the
Older fella, Israeli?
Yes, I did meet him actually.
See me after
Yeah.
class.
Okay, I got you.
He mentioned you to me yesterday at lunch. The only other thing I'm going to mention is that I'm not sure how many of you get the commercial appeal, but you may remember, hopefully you remember, Jimmy Ogle from last week.
Yes.
He's on the front page of today's commercial appeal. Their whole city, as he mentioned, he's retiring and moving to Knoxville. And the whole city has given him a big send-off over the next 6 weeks or so. And so if you get a chance, or if you don't get the paper, go to commercialappeal.com. Big picture of him in his Peabody Duckmaster uniform.
Nice.
And Mr. Elwood, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you very much. Mr. Owen, thanks for having me. And folks, thank you very much for listening for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. My name's Grant Elwood. I'm the evening manager at the Peabody Hotel, now that I've fixed that unfortunate typo on the cover slide of the presentation. Well, I do want to say that two things. I don't think anybody was here last semester, a whole new crop, but last time I walked in and Mr. Owen said, oh, so you have a PowerPoint you need to hook up? And nope. Just me. So I brought some pretty pictures to show you. And I'm also going to try to leave a bit more space at the end to do a little shameless recruiting, because we are always hiring at the South's Grand Hotel. And I was once an eager student ready to get into some exciting companies. So I know you've got a lot of opportunities to learn about companies from different speakers during this class, but hopefully you'll be able to find something that interests you at the Peabody. To begin with, I want to tell you a little bit about where I work. So the Peabody Hotel, that is the South's Grand Hotel. This year we celebrate our 150th anniversary. That's a very long time to be in business as a company. Now, it's changed hands over the years several times, but the original Peabody was built back in 1869 at the corner of Main and Monroe. So it stood when Colonel Robert Brinkley set out to build the finest hotel that the South had ever seen. And he wanted to name it after himself. He was going to name it the Brinkley House, because after all, you've built a business from the ground up, you got to put your name on it, right? So right before this hotel opens, the Brinkley House, he found out that a very good friend of his, noted philanthropist Mr. George Peabody, had just passed away. So Colonel Brinkley wanted to rename the hotel in his friend's honor. Can you imagine being so close with somebody that you take your baby of a business that you've built up to completion and naming it after somebody else? So that was a very personal start to the Peabody's history. When this hotel was built in 1869, a room for the night ran about $3. Yeah, pretty affordable vacation, right? Of course, inflation is it's really a tough cookie, but $3 a night, and if you wanted to really splurge, an extra $1 a night could get you a gas light in your room, or a wood fireplace. You could have a fireplace butler come up and build a fire for you. So if you really wanted to kind of go that extra luxury, have that gas light in your room there. So the Peabody stood as kind of the crown jewel of Memphis at the time, and they ended up doing a very big addition on the other side of the hotel. It was there until about 1923 when we decided we needed some more space. So they took 2 years and $5 million from 1923 to 1925, and they opened the new location, which is now at its current property, 149 Union Avenue. That is right there. So that's the Peabody that you all know and love now. Originally, when it was opened, it had over 600 rooms. Now, one interesting thing about the layout of that hotel was that 2 rooms shared a bathroom. And as modern travelers know, that's probably not the best situation for everybody. So we had to go through and kind of pare that down, rework the bathroom situation, and we ended up here with 464 rooms. So the Peabody has still been pretty much just as it is. A few things that we added on. Up at the top, we added a Skyway ballroom onto the side there. Originally, that was just a rooftop space, but now we've got a really lovely ballroom that I'll show you a picture of here in a minute. And then, of course, we've also redeveloped outlets over the years. Now, you may know something about the Peabody. We are known for a certain kind of animal. Can anybody tell me what that animal is? Sir?
Ducks.
Ducks, absolutely. And whoever said quack, quack, yes, you too. Yeah. We are definitely known for the ducks. So the whole history of the ducks began in 1933. We had a general manager at the time. His name was Mr. Frank Scott. Now, Mr. Scott decided that he was going to go hunting one day. So he and his buddy Chip Barwick went over on a cold day to Arkansas, and they took along with them 2 things. They took 3 live English call ducks to use as decoys. That was legal practice at the time. They also took along some Tennessee sipping whiskey, a little bit of Jack Daniels. As the day went on, they focused a little too much on the Jack, not enough on the hunting. They got back to the hotel that night. They had completely forgotten to drop those ducks back off at the farm. So Mr. Scott turned to his buddy and he goes, hey, this is going to be hilarious, right? We're going to sneak these ducks in, drop them off in the fountain. That's exactly what he did. He went upstairs to sleep it off, and the next morning he got up thinking, what have I done? Of this beautiful hotel, I've got ducks in the lobby, I'm going to have stories of people chasing ducks, angry guests. So he ran downstairs and he saw that a crowd had gathered, and that scared him even more. He ran in and said, folks, I'm so sorry you'll never see ducks at the Peabody again. And then he saw the ducks had never even gotten out of the fountain the entire night long. And the crowd that gathered said, no, we love the ducks, why don't you let them stay? And so we decided we'd let the ducks stick around. Fast forward a few years to 1941 when we had a bellman come to work for us. His name was Edward Pembroke. Now, Mr. Pembroke, in a previous job, was an animal trainer for Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And he proposed to management one day, you know, if you let me, I think I can train those ducks to march. They said, yeah, good luck with that. But they gave him a shot. Mr. Pembroke trained those ducks to march. So every single day at 11 a.m., he would bring them down a red carpet into the fountain in the center of the lobby where they swim until 5 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, he would take them right back out. So there's Mr. Pembroke standing with his ducks. Now, Mr. Pembroke went on to take those ducks on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He showed up in People magazine, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. He even had the ducks on Sesame Street for National Rubber Ducky Day. Mr. Pembroke went on to march ducks with us for 50 years. So he was the first duck master. We are now only on our 6th duck master in that whole history of the tradition. So over 85 years now that we've been doing that. Now the current duck march is probably a lot more grand than it was before. That's kind of a good idea of a light crowd on a duck march day for us. Has anybody in here, just show of hands, been to a duck march at the Peabody? All right, back half of the room, yeah. It's certainly something to see. It was one of the first things that I did when I first came to Memphis. And as a matter of fact, anytime I have somebody visiting from out of town, I always got to bring them through. Even before I worked at the Peabody, you got to go see the Ducks March. So this is what the Duck March looks like on a usual day. Sometimes we'll have, up to 1,000 people in the lobby there. I'll tell you my first encounter with my place of work. So when I was a student here at U of M, I lived in a dorm. I didn't have any entertaining space. And around the holidays, when my mom came into town to visit, I wanted somewhere where we could go and kind of have a nicer time than just, the lounge area in the dorm. So we'd come to the Peabody, and we would sit right underneath that 30-foot Christmas tree. We'd drink hot cocoa, and we'd open our presents. So that was a very personal beginning for me, my relationship with the hotel. I'll tell you a little bit about me. So I know most of the speakers you probably have in this class are nearing the pinnacle of their careers. Some maybe even kind of in their retirement years. And I'm grateful for the chance to talk to you because, relatively speaking, I'm at the very beginning of mine. So hopefully we can kind of talk about my experience and I might be able to share what little I've learned so far. So I started out, born in New York, I moved to the South when I was still pretty young. Lived in North Alabama briefly and then on to East Tennessee for a part of grade school. I finished high school in Memphis, then I went to Southwest Tennessee Community College, did my associates there, and then I came on to the University of Memphis. Now, I did not study hospitality. I had no desire to work in hotels at the time. I was a theater major and a jazz minor. If I had that to do over again, I love the arts, but I might go for a slightly more business-oriented major. That being said, though, I had a really nice time here getting to know Memphis while I was here. While I've been in school, I was also working for a few different companies. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm a few slides early. Anyway, few different companies that I've worked for. With Banana Republic while I was in college. Worked for the Flying Saucer Draft Emporium downtown. Still host a trivia show there on Tuesday nights. Got into radio a bit. Spent some time with WUMR, your radio station here at the University of Memphis. Was on air with them for about 4 years. Also worked for the Mississippi River Kings as an MC for a couple of seasons. And I've been with the Redbirds now going into my second season. Just part-time because hospitality is absolutely what I know and love now is the main focus of my career. A few more things about the Peabody and some of the amenities that we have today. So up on the upper left-hand corner there, that is our grotto-style pool, which is lovely. It's downstairs in our lower level. We have an entire athletic club that's available to our guests, and it's also available for people that are non-guests, people that are residents of downtown Memphis. A lot of people come and buy memberships from us, just like you go to the Y or the health center. They come to our athletic club. It's pretty well decked out. We've got free weights, we've got weight machines. We don't do personal training, but